Right, on to the rest of the day's news, and Bradford and Keighley will be among the first areas investigated by the new National Grooming Gangs inquiry.
The inquiry will compel people to explain what they did or did not do to protect children from grooming gangs.
Well, our political correspondent Fred Dimbleby is in Westminster Forest. And Fred, people have campaigned for more of a spotlight to be shone on Bradford for decades, and that call, it seems, has now finally been answered.
Yeah, I think this is a genuinely major development because, as you mentioned, campaigners, victims and survivors, politicians, they have been pushing for this for years. They say that the true story of grooming gangs in Bradford has not been told, that the voices of victims and survivors has not been heard, and that individuals and institutions have not been held to account. They think that this may be the first step towards that changing. This National Grooming Gangs inquiry will look at 3 areas at first, including Bradford and Keighley. Other areas may be announced down the line. They will use that to build a national picture, and they will look at things like how children were targeted, how institutions reacted, and what needs to change. Earlier on, the chair of the inquiry set out what she was expecting to find in Bradford and Keighley.
What we expect to find in Bradford is, and from all the evidence from victims, survivors and from others that have put forward evidence about Bradford, a well-developed network of grooming gangs. We think that we'll find a lot there, and but sadly we think there will be a lot of evidence of, again, huge failure of the state in different areas too.
And Fred, how have those who've campaigned for this moment actually reacted?
Well, look, I think they are delighted, but they also say that this inquiry needs to deliver real results. It needs to deliver real recommendations to make sure that nothing like this can happen again in the future. And they also say that victims and survivors have to be at its heart.
Key recommendations must follow. Not just lessons will be learned, but key recommendations with actions that is bought into by all levels of the state, all organisations that have safeguarding responsibilities. And crucially, victims and survivors must be at the heart of this.
My suspicion is that Bradford is the epicentre of this type of exploitation of young girls. We'll find out through this inquiry as to whether that's right. I think the public will be shocked by what they hear through this inquiry.
Now, the inquiry will also look at previous reviews, including into grooming gangs in Rotherham, to see what, if anything, has changed since then. Those behind it say they are unafraid to tackle difficult topics as they go through this process. It is expected to end within 3 years, so 2029 by the latest. Now we know that Bradford and Keighley will play a key role in it, with the potential for some very uncomfortable truths to be uncovered.
And of course, we'll be reporting on that. Fred Dimbleby at Westminster, thank you.
You're watching Calendar and